Geiger, please raise your right hand to be sworn, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
You may take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly for the jurors. You may examine the record.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Thank you. Please say your name and spell your name.
My name is James Geiger, Geiger.
Sir, where do you live?
I live in Tallahassee.
How long have you lived at that residence?
It's getting pretty close to 50 years now, I think 48 or 49.
All right. I want to take you back to July 18th of 2024. Now I've got an ad on me. Do you recall something unusual that happened that day? I'm sorry, I said 2024. 2014, sir. You know what case we're here about. Do you remember what happened on that date?
Yes, I do.
All right. Could you please tell our jurors how something unusual first got your attention?
It was a Friday morning, about 10:30. My wife and I were sitting in our living room looking out towards Trescott Drive, out to the street. And as we were sitting there, we were doing something with our iPads, and we heard a noise, a popping, loud sound, bang sound, and we immediately got up and walked to the front. We have a big picture window. Walked up to see if we could determine what had happened and where it had come from. We weren't sure it was to the right or to the left. And,
all right, let me pause you right there and show you a couple photographs that I have as marked as states 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Do you recognize these photographs, sir?
Yes, I do.
Are these fair and accurate photographs of your residence at that time, as well as the view from the window you've described?
Yes, it's true.
Judge, at this time I'd ask to admit 1 through 3 and publish.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
States 1 through 3 are admitted.
If we could publish states 1, please. All right, sir, so if you could just explain, give me that pointer, please, what we're looking at in this photo, and I've got a pointer here, if that's of any assistance to you. Push the middle button, you get a red dot. You don't have to use it. Oh, if you are going to use it, though, use it on the big screen, please, sir. All right, so just describe what we're looking at in this photo, states 1.
This is taken from Trescott Drive. The house on the right is my house, and the house on the left was Danny's house.
Okay, and the bay window that you've described, is that what is pictured in this portion of the photo right here? Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's correct.
Publish states 2, please. Sir, is this the view from that window?
Yes,
All right.
this is what I saw as I looked out.
Okay, and the driveway that we can see there on the right side of the window, is that Dan Markel's driveway?
Yes, it is.
All right, so you've described that something got your attention. Can we have states 3, please?
Well, as I mentioned, I wasn't sure where the noise had come from, and I looked to the left and to the right, and as I looked to the right, there was a car that was rapidly backing out of the driveway and immediately headed down in that direction towards Benton Road. It caught my attention because it seemed to be going so fast. And I noticed what it looked like. and that caught my attention, although quite frankly it was out of the corner of my eye. It appeared to be a Prius, a light-colored Prius, maybe silver or white.
Okay. So something got your attention. What was that?
Well, that was what got my attention, and then...
Was the vehicle itself?
Excuse me?
Was the vehicle itself or some noise preceded you seeing the vehicle?
Well, initially we had heard this loud noise, which we weren't exactly sure it was. It could have been a gunshot. We weren't sure. And then when I saw the car back out, that prompted me then to walk next door. There had been in the neighborhood a few break-ins, burglaries, and my first thought was that somebody was trying to break into the Markel house. And so I went out the front door and walked across over to Danny's house to see if anything had been damaged, maybe tried to be broken into the garage or something.
Yes, sir. When you looked out, you said you saw the car back out and then exit toward Benton Road. Would that be going this direction to the right of the photograph or toward the left of the photograph?
It would be towards the right.
Okay, so out this way. And you said you walked over there just to sort of look around, make sure everything was okay. What did you see?
As I approached his garage, I noticed that the garage door was open, his car was inside, and the motor was running. And so I thought then, well, I guess so much for a burglary. I don't think that's happened if Danny's there. So I turned around and walked back to my house.
Okay. What happened next?
After that, I can't tell you why, but I just stood at my front window and looked out and waited for a few minutes, maybe 3 or 4, up to 5. And for some reason, it just didn't quite seem right. Danny hadn't backed out, and I thought by this time he should have backed out of his driveway, and he didn't. And so I said to my wife, I think something just seems wrong. I'm going to walk back over. And so I did that.
All right. And what did you see when you got over there?
Excuse me?
What did you see when you got over there the second time?
Well, when I went back the second time, I noticed that the garage door was still up, the car was still running, and this time I thought, maybe I better walk on into the garage. He's probably in the driver's seat. He's probably on a cell phone talking, but I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Yes,
and
sir.
so I walked into the actual driveway then, and I saw that the window, the driver's side window, had been shattered, and I stepped on glass at that same time. As I looked inside, I saw a bloody head, and the head was slowly moving back and forth, rolling back and forth, left to right. And I hollered immediately, "Danny, what happened?" And I didn't get any response other than the head rolling, and so I hollered again, Danny, what's happened?" Still nothing. And at that point, I knew that I had to get the emergency medical team there as quickly as I could. I reached into my pocket to pull out my cell phone, which is where I normally keep it, and it wasn't there. And I thought, gee, I've left it back on the couch at the house. And so I quickly dashed back to the house, got the phone, and called 911.
How many minutes do you estimate elapsed between the time you saw the Prius backing out, or really I should say the time you heard the loud bang, to the time that you were able to reach 911?
Less than 10 minutes, more than 5 minutes, somewhere in there, I would say.
I'm going to approach and show you what I've marked as State's Exhibits 4, and then I also have 6 and 7. This is number 4, and I'll draw your attention to some initials on number 4, and then also 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize these photos?
Yes, I do.
All right, Judge, at this time I'd ask to move into evidence 6 and 7.
Any objection?
No objection.
States 6 and 7 are admitted.
Publish State 6, please.
You may.
Sir, is this how the vehicle was positioned when you went over there and found Mr. Markel so badly injured?
Yes, that looks correct.
Publish State 7, please. Was the doors to the vehicle are open in this photograph? Were they open or closed when you went over?
No, they were all closed.
Okay, closed, and the only window that was damaged was that the driver's side window?
That's the only one I saw. That's if there were some others, I didn't look at any other windows. I just simply saw the driver's side that was completely shattered.
All right, yes, sir. And State's Exhibit 4, is this consistent with the type of vehicle that you observed in the driveway backing out that day?
Yes, it was, although I didn't quite see that angle.
Okay. Judge, at this time, I'd ask to introduce States 4.
Objection to States 4.
No objection.
Admitted at this time.
All right, and you described it as a light-colored Prius. You weren't exactly sure of the color, maybe white, maybe silver, right?
Yeah, silver came to mind first, I guess, but certainly a light-colored vehicle.
I'm going to approach and show you State's Exhibit 5. Recognize States 5?
Yes,
Is that Mr. Markel?
yes, it is.
All right, may I introduce States 5, Your Honor?
No objection. No, sir.
States 5 is admitted.
Publishing States 5. What did you know about Mr. Markel?
Well, this occurred in 2014, and Danny and Wendy were newlyweds and had moved in about 5 years earlier than that. They moved next door. We were not particularly close to either one. We would see them occasionally out on the street. The memorable thing, and the other neighbors would tell you, is that when they first moved in, they had a housewarming event, and they invited all the neighbors in, and we attended it. That was our first time to see them and visit them. They seemed like a nice young couple, and but after that, we weren't particularly close.
Did they have a couple little children living there?
Well, when they first moved there, they didn't, but after a year or two, they had a first child, and then later a second child.
All right, and at the time that Mr. Markel was shot, had his wife, Wendy, moved out? Had they separated?
Yeah, we had understood that they were going through a divorce, and Wendy had left, and after that, we rarely saw Danny, and I don't think we ever saw the kids either, but
Were you familiar with Mr. Markel's profession?
yes, I knew that he was an attorney. Both of them were, and they were connected with the FSU Law School, I believe, but I didn't know their exact positions there.
Yes, sir. Publish 4 again, please. Are you able to tell the jurors anything about the occupants of this vehicle on that day?
No, I only saw it just briefly, and to notice what kind of car it was. I couldn't tell you who was inside. The windows were dark as far as I could see. I didn't even know if it was 2-door or 4-door. I just didn't see anything like that.
During the time that you were present at the scene of the shooting, did Mr. Markel ever regain consciousness or ever say anything that you heard?
No, I never heard him say anything. The only notion was that his head kept rolling back and forth during the 911 call, which it took forever to try to get the emergency vehicle there, the emergency medical team. They would occasionally ask if he was still breathing. And I would walk back up into the garage, and his head was moving still. And I said, well, his head's moving. So I assume he's still breathing.
Yes, sir. Have you had an opportunity to review that recorded call that you made to 911 that day?
Yes, I have.
All right. And was it a fair and accurate recording of that call?
Yes.
All right, Judge, at this time I'd ask to move into evidence States 88.
Any objection?
No objection.
States 88 is admitted.
May I publish?
Go ahead.
What's your emergency?
It's right next door at my house, which is 2122 Trescott Drive.
Can you repeat that for verification?
2122 Trescott Drive, the T.
Okay, the phone number you're calling from?
I'm calling from 850-212.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
We heard a loud bang and a car pulled away from next door. I came over and looked in, the garage door was up. And I thought the gentleman was backing out, and I went back to my house, but he never backed out. And I came back over, and his driver's side window was shattered, and he's battered, and can't answer. He's inside. I don't know if somebody tried to shoot him, or if he shot himself, or what. I don't know.
And it was at this location, correct?
Right next door. I'll give you mine. I don't know his address. It's next door.
Okay.
He didn't send an ambulance in a hurry. EMG. He's still alive. He's moving.
Okay. What's going on with it?
I don't know. The driver's side window is all bashed in. He's inside. The car is running, and he's got blood all over his head. He's not responding to me. That number, by the way, is 2116. 2116.
All right, that's the first few minutes of a 14-minute call. Is that how long it took them to get somebody to you?
Seemed to me a lot longer.
Seemed like 14 hours, didn't it?
Long time.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross-examination for Mr. Geiger.
No question, Your Honor.
Mr. Geiger, you may step down, sir. Is he released from his subpoena? Will anyone need to recall him for any purpose?
He's released, Your Honor.
Have a good day, sir. Please.
What if I told you that the smartest person in the room was about to become his own worst enemy? That every word spoken in confidence would become evidence? That a family's whispered conversations would echo through a courtroom? That arrogance dressed as intelligence would crumble under the weight of its own voice? What if I told you that a successful dentist with a Ferrari would orchestrate a murder, then spend years convinced he could explain it away? That he would take the witness stand, testify for over 10 hours, and with each word, dig his own grave deeper? This is a story of Charlie Adelson, a successful periodontist, a protective brother, a man who believed he could outsmart everyone, a man who joked about hiring a hitman to kill his sister's ex-husband, then claimed it was just dark humor when that ex-husband ended up dead, a man who paid his ex-girlfriend over $138,000, then claimed he was being extorted. But in the end, it wasn't the evidence that trapped him. It was his own words. Every explanation, every justification, every attempt to appear smarter than the accusations against him. This is the story of how talking became a life sentence. Before we dive into this case, I need you to do something. If you're drawn to stories where justice moves slowly but strikes precisely, where every detail matters, where truth emerges not from what people hide, but from what they reveal, then Dark Trail Files is your home. Hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to witness isn't just a murder case. It's a masterclass in how control becomes an illusion, and how the voice you trust most can become your greatest betrayal. Don't just watch. Join the investigation. Subscribe now. July 18th, 2014. Tallahassee, Florida. A humid summer morning that would shatter families forever. Dan Markel, a 41-year-old law professor at Florida State University, dropped his 2 young sons at daycare at 8:50. A routine morning. A loving father. A brilliant legal mind. He drove to his gym, worked out, ran errands. Normal. Unremarkable. He had no idea 2 men had been following him. At 11:02 that morning, a neighbor made a call that would launch one of Florida's most complex murder investigations. The panic in this call is raw. Real. This is the moment everything changed.
911, what's the address of your emergency location? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
We heard and looked in. The garage door was up, and I thought the gentleman was backing out. And I went back to my house, but he never backed out. And I came back over, and his driver's side window is shattered, and he's battered and can't answer. He's inside. I don't know if somebody tried to shoot him or if he shot himself or what. I don't know. He didn't send an ambulance in a hurry. An EMT. He's still alive. He's moving.
Okay. What's going on with him?
I don't know. The driver's side window is all bashed in, and he's got blood all over his head. He's not responding to me. I think you need to hurry.
Yeah, I'm going to get him on the way to you. I just want to ask you a few questions, okay?
Go ahead, but send them as you're asking.
Yes, sir. They're already on the way, okay? Are you with him now?
Very good. I'm standing right outside the garage door.
Can you tell me how old he is?
I don't know. He looks like maybe 35 or 40.
Hang on 1 second for me, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. I apologize about that. What was how old is the patient again? I'm sorry.
I can't tell. He looks maybe 35 or 40. I don't know.
Okay. And is he awake?
He's just moving his head around, but he's not responding. I've called his name, asked what's going on, or not call his name, but ask him what's happening. He's not responding to that, but his head's kind of rolling around.
Okay. Is he conscious?
Well, I can't tell.
Okay. Is he breathing?
I can't tell that. I'm assuming he's breathing if he's moving his head around.
Did you ever hear him talk or anything?
No.
Okay. You said he's sitting in the car, right?
Correct, in the driver's seat.
Okay. Where
Driver's
exactly is he? In the driver's seat? You know.
In the driver's seat.
Is he in the garage or?
In the garage.
Okay. Can you direct the emergency crews to him, sir?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Just stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next.
Okay.
If it's safe to do so, see if he is conscious and breathing or moving at all, okay?
It's not safe for me to do. I don't want to put my hand in here.
Okay. Well, help's on the way.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be standing by. And I've heard about break-ins in the area, and so I decided to walk over and take a look. And the garage door was up and asked him what was happening. And then I saw the window was shattered, and he's got blood. I'm going to be over here waiting for the EMT, honey. Okay, go ahead, but just tell the kids to hold on inside. They're okay. So tell them I'm out here.
All right, just stay on the line with me for now, okay, sir?
Okay,
I got him on the way to you.
Very good. I'm standing at the street, so if I see him coming down the street, I can direct him right in.
So he won't respond to you at all?
Not to me.
Holler at him or anything?
Yeah, he didn't respond, but his head kind of moving around.
Okay.
But I've walked away from the car right now. I'm standing at the street, so.
And he's?
No.
Okay.
He's inside. The window's shattered. The garage door was up.
Okay.
Where is the vehicle dispatched from?
I'm not sure. Give me a second. I'll try to see where they are, okay? Is he still moving around?
I don't know. I'm standing at the street now trying to wait for your vehicle. Did you say you were checking on where it was?
Yes, sir.
Or where it's coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it coming from?
I'm checking.
Okay.
Got several people on the way. Looks like one person's coming from McClay Road.
Okay, well, it may take them a while to get here then. We're close to the hospital, so.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying his head is bloody now?
Yeah, it's been bloody. I mean, it's...
Okay.
The window shattered. I don't know if he's tried to shoot himself. I don't know what the situation is.
And it's the driver's side window, correct?
That's correct. He's still moving around, so he's alive.
Okay. Looks like I should have an officer coming up the roadway.
Okay, well, we need EMT.
Well, the officer's going to be there first. They're not going to come until we figure out what's going on, but they're on the way as well, okay?
He better be if this guy's got a shot living.
Yes, sir. They're on the way as well, okay?
Yep. It looks like could be the officer now.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's just coming up right now.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, sir, okay?
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Dan Markel was found slumped in his car, shot twice in the head. The garage door still open. The engine still running. He died the next day. This wasn't random violence. This was professional, Calculated. Someone wanted Dan Markel gone. But why? The answer lay buried in a family's desperate need for control. A bitter divorce, a custody battle, and a brother who would do anything for his sister. Dan Markel had been married to Wendy Adelson. On paper, it seemed perfect. 2 legal minds at Florida State University. 2 beautiful sons born in 2009 and 2011. But beneath the surface, a war was brewing about identity, family loyalty, and where to raise children. Wendy's family, the Adelsons, were intensely close. Her mother, Donna, had very strong opinions about every decision in Wendy's life. Where she lived, who she married, how she raised her children. Donna wasn't just a mother. She was a force. Bookkeeper at the family dental practice. Matriarch who expected loyalty above all else. And Tallahassee, 500 miles from the Adelson family in South Florida. For people like the Adelsons who valued proximity and constant family involvement, that distance was unbearable. When Wendy filed for divorce in September 2012, Dan came home from a business trip to find his family gone. His possessions removed. Divorce papers on his bed. When he tried to move their sons to South Florida to be near her family. But Dan fought back in court. He argued the children shouldn't leave Tallahassee. The court sided with Dan. The divorce was finalized in 2013 with 50-50 custody. But there was a critical provision. When he could not move to Miami with the children. For the Adelson family, this wasn't just a legal setback. It was personal. How dare this man keep their daughter and grandchildren away? According to court documents, the Adelson family offered Dan $1 million to allow Wendy to relocate with the children. An offer to pay for an apartment so Dan could commute. Wendy never presented the offer, but the Adelson family would reference it repeatedly in coded conversations. It became part of their narrative. Dan wasn't just fighting for custody. He was fighting for his children's religious upbringing. He wanted them raised in a conservative, kosher Jewish household. Dan filed a motion to limit Donna Adelson's unsupervised visits with his children. He cited her negative remarks about him. That motion was filed in 2014, just weeks before the murder. It would be the last legal document Dan Markel would ever file. Because someone in the Adelson family had decided the courts were no longer the answer. Someone decided Dan Markel had to die. Police had little to go on at first, but they had one crucial detail from the neighbor. A light-colored car, possibly a Toyota Prius, backing out of Dan's driveway right after the gunshots. Investigators worked methodically. They canvassed the neighborhood, collected surveillance footage, interviewed anyone who might have seen something unusual. 5 days later, police released a grainy surveillance photo of that Prius. Security footage revealed something chilling. That Prius had followed Dan Markel throughout his entire morning. The footage was damning. At 9:12 in the morning, the Prius arrived at Premier Health and Fitness Center with Dan. It waited while he worked out. When Dan left at 10:38, the Prius followed. Into his driveway. This was a hit. Professional. Methodical. Someone had studied Dan's routine, followed his movements, waited for the perfect moment. The shooters knew exactly where he lived. They knew he'd be alone. They knew the garage door would be open. This wasn't rage. It wasn't passion. It was business. Cell phone records and rental car contracts led investigators to 2 men, Luis Rivera and Sigfrido Garcia, both in the Miami area, both with ties to the Latin Kings gang. Neither had any connection to Dan Markel. The rental records showed the Prius was rented from July 15th to the 21st. Cell phone data placed both men near Dan's home the morning of the murder. On June 4th, just weeks before the murder, the same 2 men had traveled to Tallahassee. A practice run. An unnamed witness told investigators about meeting Garcia and Rivera at a Tallahassee motel in June. The witness saw Rivera with a revolver, the same type used to kill Dan Markel. This level of planning pointed to one conclusion. Someone hired them. Someone with money. Someone with motivation. But who connected them to Dan Markel? In October 2016, Luis Rivera pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. In exchange for 19 years, he gave investigators crucial information. The woman in the middle, Catherine Magbanua. Rivera told investigators that Magbanua was coordinating everything. She knew why Dan Markel had to disappear. It was about children, about custody, and Catherine Magbanua was connected to someone very close to Dan Markel's ex-wife, Charlie Adelson, Wendy's brother, the periodontist with the Ferrari, the license plate that read Maestro, the protective older brother who had once joked about hiring a hitman. Charlie ran a lucrative dental implant practice north of Miami. Successful, wealthy, and the Adelson family had a problem they desperately wanted solved. Dan Markel wouldn't let Wendy move to Miami with the children. Follow the money. That's what investigators did. And the money told a damning story. After Dan Markel's murder, Catherine Magbanua's financial situation changed dramatically. She received significant payments from the Adelson family. Charlie Adelson paid her $138,000 shortly after the murder. Think about that number. $138,000 given to an ex-girlfriend. Then came the monthly payments. $3,000 every single month. For years. Like clockwork. Catherine Magbanua was placed on the payroll at the Adelson Institute despite having absolutely no dental training. Phone records painted an even clearer picture. On the morning of July 18, 2014, the day of the murder, phone records showed multiple calls between Charlie Adelson and Catherine Magbanua, between Magbanua and Sigfrido Garcia. At 11:05, just minutes after Dan was shot, the first call Garcia made was to Catherine Magbanua. Cell phone records showed that the night before the murder, Garcia and Rivera met with Magbanua. A final coordination. Investigators traced every call, every text, every moment of contact. What emerged was a clear picture of conspiracy. A network flowing from Charlie Adelson to Catherine Magbanua to Sigfrido Garcia to Luis Rivera. In 2019, Sigfrido Garcia stood trial. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury found him guilty, sentenced to life without parole. Catherine Magbanua's first trial in 2019 ended in a mistrial. 10 jurors voted to convict. 2 voted to acquit. But prosecutors retried her in 2022. During Charlie's trial in 2023, she took the stand and admitted she'd lied. She testified that she told Charlie she knew Sigfrido Garcia could harm Dan Markel. She confirmed the payments weren't extortion. They were payment for a murder. Her retrial jury found her guilty. Life in prison plus 60 years consecutive. 3 people convicted, all connected to one person, Charlie Adelson. The net was tightening around the man who thought he was too smart to get caught. The FBI had been watching, listening, recording, and then they made a move that would crack this case wide open.
Hello? Hola, diga. Hello, diga. Who is this? Who's this? Someone's been calling my family and trying to figure out who this is. In reference to what, man? Someone by the name of Sammy called? Yeah, that's me, man. All right, what's going on? Well, what's going on is my brother Tato. Okay, my brother Tato has not been taken care of. His family's not been taken care of. I talked to a dentist. Why are you calling me? Who are you? I gave the number to a lady. I don't know Tato. You don't know Tato? I'm sure you know Katie and Tuto. They've been taken care of since the family problem been taken care of up north. I don't know who you are. You don't? Well, this is going away, my friend. Because let me tell you something. I was at Broward with Tato, and he told me the whole story. He told me nobody was taking care of him. Nobody was taking care of his family. The family was taking care of Katie and Tuto, and nothing's been taken care of with Tato. So we know what's going on. And Tato needs to be taken care of. Do the right thing. The lady already has the paperwork. She knows what I'm talking about. We know Katie. We know Tuto. You know they've been taken care of.
All right, let me look at it.
No more f***ing around, man. No more f***ing around. This ain't going away. You guys need to do the right thing for Tato. That's my brother, man. That's my brother, and he needs to be taken care of. His family needs to be taken care of, just like Katie and Tuto have been taken care of.
I've never met these people, but let me call you back, okay?
That's bullshit, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know this lady. I don't know your relationship with this lady, but we know what the f*** is going on. This ain't going away. Take care of Tato just like you take care of Katie and Tuto, man.
In 2016, the FBI made a calculated move. They've been investigating the Adelson family for years, but they needed something more. They needed the family to reveal themselves. So they orchestrated what's called a bump, an undercover operation designed to create pressure, to see how suspects react when confronted. An undercover FBI agent approached Donna Adelson outside a restaurant in Miami, posing as someone connected to the killers, someone from the Latin Kings, someone who knew what the family had done and wanted money to stay silent. The agent's message was clear. He had information about Dan Markel's murder, information that could implicate the Adelson family, and he wanted payment. This operation was designed to see how the Adelsons would react, how innocent people would react versus guilty people. If the Adelsons were innocent, the response would be straightforward. Call the police immediately. Report attempted extortion. Provide any information about Dan's murder to help the investigation. If someone approaches you claiming to have murder information and demanding money, and you're innocent, you go to law enforcement. The Adelsons didn't call the police. They didn't report the bump. Instead, wiretap phone calls captured the family in panic. Charlie calling his mother calling him back. Frantic, coded discussions. But never once did anyone suggest calling the police. The conversations were revealing. They spoke in code, vague references, thinly veiled topics that made perfect sense to the family. Donna talked about patients, about dental work, references that meant nothing in a dental context, but everything in murder conspiracy context. Charlie and Donna discussed the television. That same television from Charlie's hitman joke. The television that had become Wendy's alibi. Now it resurfaced in these panic calls. They talked about being careful on the phone, about not discussing certain things where others might hear. The irony was profound. They were being careful because they suspected surveillance. But their careful, coded language was itself evidence of guilt. Because innocent people don't speak in code about dental patients and television repairs when threatened about murder involvement. When this recording played in court, you could feel the temperature in the room change. Listen to how two people speak when they think no one is listening.
You may continue with publishing the next call.
Thank you, Judge. The next call is BB.
What happened?
Somebody called my dad's office today looking for him, saying that they dropped off some paperwork to him last week, and there was a phone number on there, and it's actually the person was Erica, and then Erica called my mom up because she's like, normally I wouldn't call you up, but I got a strange phone call.
Where's the phone number that they're calling from, though?
I can ask Erica, but Erica said, yeah, I've been in the Sandy, called the office this morning, saying that I left some paperwork with Dr. Adelson last week, and I left a number on there, and you need to call me at that number.
No, somebody's like fucking police in the rooms and shit.
Well, this is the third.
Call the number. Call the number. They don't want to call on my fucking phone.
I mean, there's someone who wants to be called back. Let's put it that way. Do you still have the number?
Yeah, well, obviously that number, nobody picks me up. That's not a working number. It's like a Gmail number.
Nobody's pulling the leg. I'm just asking you to find out who the fuck it is.
It's like,
Yeah.
get that number that's off of the thing, off of the number, off of the freaking, caller ID.
At the office?
Yeah, obviously. Because this is like a fucking bullshit game.
Well, they're not coming out on foot. They're not writing letters, and they're not calling the office because they have nothing better to do.
Well, I don't know what to tell you because I called that number myself.
Okay, well, let's call that number again and find out what the fuck's going on.
And nobody picks up. And you just try another number and left a message.
Okay, well,
I'm trying to get whoever's threatening your family and helping you guys out. And trying to help you guys out, but it's like if they don't pick up, then what the fuck?
I
It's like it's a fucking joke.
I understand that they fucking called this morning and they're waiting for the phone call. That's what I'm telling you. And since it's 3
The
times,
number or whatever that is that's calling you or your
the
family,
305,
whatever it is.
6570. You have the number.
Exactly. That number is obviously it's like a non-working number.
Okay, can you find out?
Okay, and it's like what I don't know how to describe. It's either somebody's pulling your phone, somebody is just harassing you, or somebody's trying to get something out of you.
Okay. Find out who the fuck it is, because the other phone call is going to be the FBI. I'm telling you. Well, I'm telling you, and then when they do catch the person, they're going to be asking lots of questions about whose Katie is.
We already spoke about this. It's like not even like a fucking joke anymore, because obviously it's like somebody's fucking harassing you guys, or somebody's harassing and using my name, and it's like
Okay,
I don't know.
think it through. Find out who the fuck it is. That's all I'm asking.
No, I'm not going to straight on my fucking cell phone because it's fucking bullshit. It's fucking somebody trying to fucking pinpoint some bullshit. Like it's getting aggravating.
Yeah, it is. All I'm saying is find out who the fuck it is and tell them to stop playing their games. I don't know who you have to talk to, but it needs to be missing the butt.
No, man, I'm going to handle this shit myself, bro. Because this is some fucking bullshit. I'm going to handle it my motherfucking self. Well, change my motherfucking number. They fucking, if Erica wants to call back and like, oh, is this the right number? Okay, I'll have your fucking, whatever fucking taken care of. Okay? Because this is fucking bullshit.
Find
I'm
out.
correct, bro. I'm about to go to that fucking FBI. I'm fucking getting irate with this shit already. It's either the FBI fucking playing games or fucking whatever it is because I'm fucking getting pissed.
Alright, go find out.
I'll say it. Wrong phone number. Maybe you're
Okay.
an idiot. You gave a fucking wrong number. Get the fucking number to fucking call because I'm gonna call them.
Okay.
And fucking type to me, I don't even fucking give a shit about all this fucking bullshit, whatever shit anymore. I'm pissed the fuck off. Like, I'm gonna fucking go to the house right now.
Okay, well, either you go to the cops or we go to the cops.
Exactly.
We'll find out.
We're both gonna fucking go to the house because this is fucking bullshit.
We'll find out who the fuck this is. Because this person evidently knows you and knows your family.
Yeah,
They know me,
exactly.
they know my name.
You don't think that fucking scares the shit out of me? Like somebody fucking saying my name out loud or whatever? Whatever.
If someone's messing with you, they're messing with me. If someone's messing with me, they're messing with you. It's one and the same. So what I'm saying is, find out who the fuck
That number doesn't fucking work. If you can get a hold, you go to different offices, call the motherfucking number. See if the fucking number works. Bottom line. Because I tried myself and that shit does not work.
Katie, call them, find out who the fuck it is now. Trust me on this. Find out who the fuck it is.
Get the number, listen to me, and get the number and something all of the things because there were people. I'm not going to your parents to go fucking FBI. What else fucking doing this thing? And fucking go and fucking report whoever's harassing. That's it.
Katie, I gotta get back to this. You have the number I gave you the other day.
I have the fucking number. I have
Okay,
told
good.
you.
Call it.
Listen, I called the number. This is not a working number.
Good.
Get the number that calls your fucking office. Listen to me for once.
I will. you're going to call Erica?
Fucking A, bro. I'm gonna fucking fuck up whoever the fuck is fucking with me.
I'm going to call my mom and have my mom call
Get
your
my fucking
office.
number. Because some
Which number?
fucking parents, my number they call it, and I'm not a working number. It's either somebody's playing, somebody's having into some shit, and somebody's just trying to fucking aggravate somebody.
Okay, let me.
And I'm aggravated.
Do you want me to have Erica go on the caller ID and look to see what number that was that
It's a
called?
fucking number. Obviously, they're calling from somewhere else, and it's not the same number that you say. How about you call and find that out?
Do me a favor. Try that number I gave you the other day, and I'm going to call my mom and tell her to call Erica and ask her to look it up on the caller ID. Okay? But call me.
Whatever it is.
All right. Tension's rising a little bit.
A little bit. The wiretaps captured something else. The dynamic between Charlie and Catherine Magbanua after the bump. If Charlie's extortion story was true, you'd expect fear in these conversations. Distance. Hostility. Instead, the call showed familiarity. Comfort. Shared concern about the investigation. Two people working together, not a victim and extortionist. In one particularly damning call, Charlie and Magbanua discussed the bump in detail. They strategized about how to respond. If Charlie was being extorted, this was his moment to break free. The FBI had approached his mother. Law enforcement was investigating. He could have reported the extortion and solved all his problems. He didn't, because there was no extortion. There was conspiracy, and the bump had exposed it. The recorded calls became powerful trial evidence, not because they contained explicit confessions. The Adelsons were too careful, but because they showed consciousness of guilt. They showed a family that knew they were in danger, that knew their secrets might be exposed, and that chose to hide rather than seek help. In April 2022, Charlie Adelson was arrested, charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation to commit murder. For years, he'd watched others go to prison. Rivera, Garcia, Magbanua, all convicted, all serving life sentences. Now it was his turn. His defense? It wasn't murder. It was extortion. According to Charlie, on the night of Dan Markel's murder, Catherine Magbanua showed up at his house in panic. She told him she'd talked too much about the family's problems, about the custody dispute, and now gang members had killed Dan Markel. She gave Charlie an ultimatum: pay $250,000 within 48 hours, or he and his family would be next. Charlie claimed he only had $138,000 available, so Magbanua agreed to a payment plan, $3,000 a month. He never went to the police because he was terrified. He kept paying because he had no choice. He continued his relationship with Magbanua, sending her love texts because he had to keep up appearances. It was a story designed to explain away every piece of evidence, every payment, every phone call, every suspicious behavior. But it required the jury to believe something extraordinary: that Catherine Magbanua orchestrated Dan Markel's murder purely to extort Charlie Adelson, that she convinced gang members to commit murder just to create leverage for a shakedown. It required them to believe that Charlie, a successful dentist, a man who presented himself as intelligent and careful, would pay extortion money for nearly a decade without ever once going to the police. Not even after the killers were arrested and imprisoned. In October 2023, Charlie Adelson's trial began in a Tallahassee courtroom. The gallery was packed. Journalists, legal observers, members of the Markel family who had waited over 9 years for this moment. Prosecutors laid out their case. This was murder for hire. Charlie orchestrated it. He paid for it. He used his girlfriend's connections to hire professional killers, all to help his sister get full custody and move to Miami. The prosecution presented phone records showing the web of communication, financial records tracking the money, cell tower data placing the killers at Dan Markel's gym, following his car, waiting in his driveway. Testimony from Luis Rivera about how the murder was planned. Testimony from Catherine Magbanua herself, breaking years of silence to implicate Charlie directly. The evidence was methodical, overwhelming. The defense insisted Charlie was the victim. extorted by a manipulative ex-girlfriend who heard his jokes about hitmen and saw an opportunity, who orchestrated Dan Markel's murder without Charlie's knowledge, then used it as leverage to extract hundreds of thousands. Defense attorney Daniel Rashbaum was skilled, experienced. He portrayed Catherine Magbanua as a professional liar and con artist. He argued the state's theory was as convoluted as the extortion story. But then Charlie made the decision that would define his life. He would testify. He would take the stand. He would tell his story directly to the jury. Some defendants stay silent, exercise their Fifth Amendment right, let their lawyers argue. Charlie Adelson chose the opposite path. He believed in his story. He believed he could convince 12 strangers he was innocent. It was the most catastrophic decision of his life. This is the moment Charlie decided to tell his story directly to the jury. Watch carefully, not just what he says, but how he says it.
When you get to the house, you said you called Katie after your shower. Why did you call her?
To see if she was still planning on coming over and what time she was going to be there, because it was already like 10:15.
And did she come to your house that night?
Yeah, she said she was going to be leaving shortly, and I think I even said either text me or call me when you're on your way.
Did she actually come to your house that evening?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Around what time did she arrive?
She got there about 11 o'clock.
What happened when she arrived?
When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does, and she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, just a horrible day." But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "Just come sit down. I need to talk to you."
Where did you go?
We walked into the living room.
And what happened when you got to the living room?
We sat down on the couch, and she started to talk to me. And she said, "Listen, this is all my fault, but I had no idea anything was going to happen, but this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer."
What did you say?
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "My friend killed Dan, and he wants to be paid $1/3 of $1 million."
How did you react?
I was like, "What did you just say?" And she's like, "My friend killed Dan, and he wants you to pay $1/3 of $1 million."
What happened next?
I stood up, and I started cursing it. I'm like, "What the fuck? Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, who did this? Who's your friend that did this? And she's like, "I don't want to say. I can't say." And I said, who was it? And she just kept saying, "I'm not going to tell you." And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And she's like, "No, I'm not telling you." And I just walked in my bedroom and sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She came into the bedroom, followed after me. She sat down next to me. She started telling me, like, "I'm so sorry. This is all my fault, but I didn't know any of this was going to happen." And I'm like, "Katie, I'm not going to be part of this shit. Like, I'm not going to be part of paying for a murder. This is insane."
For more than 10 hours over 2 days, Charlie Adelson testified. He sat in the witness box, composed, confident, ready to explain away 9 years of suspicion. He answered questions from his attorney with precision. He explained the extortion theory in meticulous detail, walking the jury through that night when Catherine Magbanua allegedly showed up at his house in panic. According to Charlie, she looked more upset than he'd ever seen her. She told him it was all her fault, that she'd talked too much about the custody dispute, about the $1 million offer. And now, gang members had killed Dan Markel. And unless Charlie paid 1/3 of $1 million within 48 hours, he and his family would be next. Charlie testified that he was terrified, shocked. He didn't have that kind of cash immediately. So Magbanua agreed to a payment plan, like buying a television on layaway. Except this was murder. Monthly payment, $3,000. He explained why he told his mother Donna, but swore her to secrecy. Why they spoke in code. why they never explicitly discussed what was happening. Every question had an answer. Every suspicious behavior had a justification rooted in this elaborate extortion narrative. Charlie presented himself as intelligent, thoughtful, careful, a man caught in an impossible situation, a victim of both Magbanua's extortion and a justice system that refused to believe him. He maintained eye contact with jurors, spoke clearly, didn't stumble. He projected the image of someone telling the truth. But there was something underneath, a defensiveness, an over-explanation, the kind of detail innocent people don't usually provide. And then came cross-examination, the moment when prosecutor Georgia Kappelman would test every word. Confidence can be armor, but it can also be a trap. Watch what happens when that armor starts to crack.
I was approached by another extortionist today. Does she say that?
No, she's talking very carefully.
And you say carefully, but isn't carefully the same thing as code?
No, they're two totally separate things. You know the difference?
You weren't really giving her money for a TV, were you?
Giving her money for a TV.
This TV is probably going to be about $5.
Okay.
I need you to bring cash tonight.
I wish she picked another object on planet Earth other than TV. But TV is code for absolutely nothing. There is no code in this case involving TV. And you keep circling and circling and circling TV, you're wrong.
Is it a coincidence that the repair of the TV that you bought Wendy as a divorce gift because it was cheaper than hiring a hitman is your sister's alibi for the murder, and then your mom brings up TV first call on the wire?
It's not an alibi for a murder. She had a broken TV. You got to ask Lincoln who threw the remote at the TV.
Was it a coincidence? Is the TV thing a coincidence? That's what I hear you say.
Oh, that the repairman was there that day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is a coincidence for sure. There's a couple of coincidences in this case.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I said there's a couple of coincidences in this case. I mean, she had people send her an email to go buy a bottle of Bullet bourbon for their Stock the Bar party, and she was driving to a liquor store to buy a bottle of Bullet bourbon on that day, at that time, and her friend sent the email, and you have the email and evidence. Like, is that a coincidence? Yeah, coincidences happen.
And the you might not be the right Katie talk, that doesn't seem to really fit with your theory of the case, does it? What was your explanation for that? Why you kept saying you might not be the right Katie? I mean, she's definitely the right Katie, right?
Absolutely. She knew it was. I was implying it was her. I was just trying to say I'm not setting you up, but I need your help.
On call B, you call your mom back, and you say, you probe her a little bit, and ultimately you say, you think someone's trying to blackmail you? That's crazy. Why does it sound like this is something that's new and unfathomable to you at that moment?
Well, because I wasn't even following what my mom was talking about on the first call. And on the second call, when she shocked me when she said that. And I'd been extorted before, and her saying to bring cash, everything just didn't sound right.
Could we play clip 4, please? This is from Dolce.
What, sorry, from what?
Clip 4 from Dolce.
Okay.
Even if they had any evidence, the first words out of your mouth on this clip, even if they had any evidence. No. Strike. The quote is, if they had any evidence, we'd have already gone to the airport. And I know you already testified about this, but does an innocent person say, if they had any evidence?
Right. Katie's saying it's the police, and I'm saying that we're innocent. They're not going to have any evidence to show we were part of something that we were part of. If we had any part of this, we'd be going to the airport right now. And
Isn't it true, doctor, that they're not going to have any evidence because you were careful?
No, because we weren't a part of this.
You were smart.
No, we weren't a part of this.
You walled yourself off from
I was
the
sure
killers.
they're not going to have evidence to show I did something I didn't do. So we're not running to the airport.
And you're untouchable, right?
No, we didn't do a murder. I wasn't part of a murder. There's no reason to run to the airport.
In the next clip, you're discussing what's going to happen if this person that did the bump goes to the police. And you're going through all these scenarios, these possibilities.
Wait, if he goes to the police?
Yeah, the blackmailer goes to the police. They're going to say, where's the weapon? And he's not going to know. He's just going to have hearsay, basically. Someone told me they did it, and it's not going to be enough to get the investigation anywhere. Why are you thinking through the possibility of the blackmailer going to the cops if the blackmailer doesn't have any dirt on you to take to the cops?
I wasn't thinking about the blackmailer. What I was trying to say is I don't know anything about Sigfredo. I don't know anything about this crime. I was trying to tell her that I'm harmless. I don't have any knowledge of what went on. Like, the last thing I wanted is that now that she's saying it's the police, is someone to come and kill me and think I'm some kind of loose end. So that's why I'm saying that.
But that's not what you're saying. You're saying if this is a person that Luis Rivera ran his mouth to, and they go to the police, it's going to be worth zero. Because they're not going to know anything other than, hey, my brother told me this.
I don't know if I was saying with someone who knows Luis Rivera. I was trying to make a point that I don't know anything.
And then you suggest what they would have to do is get him to wear a wire and get the person to confess, and that's probably what this could be, an effort to do, right?
Well, they're thinking that we were part of a murder. So this was the same thing I said before, is that this is their theory. So this is a police tactic, and it could be either a bad guy or the police, and this is how they're pursuing it.
Exactly. So as long as you keep your mouth shut, you can get away with murder, right?
No, not at all.
Isn't that what you told Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No, Ryan Fitzpatrick is someone who stole over $500,000 from me.
That's not my question, sir.
Sorry.
Did you say that to Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No, never. Never at all.
Why do you go into so much detail about rental car examples? Let's start with, strike that. Can you agree that the Prius, you knew that the police were looking for a Prius at the time you met at this Dolce Vita restaurant?
I think it had been released at that time.
All right, and you heard the recording. You're arguing. Let's play the clip. This is going to be clip, I think let's play 7 and 8, please. Dolce.
Because the fact is, like, even if, let's say, I just got my car, and then I go ahead and I get a fine, and I go, and you're dating in the car, I go, yeah, she was in my car, and he got out, and she did this horrible crime. Okay, they come and they get the DNA in the car, they go, yep, Katie was in my car. No, Katie sat in the car for 2 minutes, got out of the AC, and then got out of the car. Katie had nothing to do with you causing a broken Katie. Outside of that, there's no evidence. Okay? If you have a car and you can link this person to renting that car that you drive, okay. But you have to prove that they were also driving that day too, and rented it and lent it to a friend. What if you rented a car and hey, Katie, can I borrow for the weekend? I'll bring it back on Tuesday. You go, yeah, sure. So you rented a car. You've been in that car. I drive into fucking Orlando. I rob McDonald's in Orlando. I come back and I go, here's the keys, Katie. And you go, okay, thanks. And if you rented it, well, what if you were fucking out all weekend and you didn't even know I took your car? I did something and I brought it back. Okay. My point is, I don't have any knowledge of what went on. Evidently, this person is either pretending to or does. I don't want someone paying business. Okay.
Sounds like you're saying even if they track down the Prius, even if there's DNA or fingerprints in the Prius, meaning like they can link someone to the Prius, that's not going to be enough evidence to make any arrests in this case. Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. What I'm doing is I'm restating.
You've answered my question.
Can I give you an
On redirect, you'll have an opportunity.
Well,
my question was.
One moment.
My question
We're not
was-
just wildly arguing. Mr. Adelson, please answer the question.
Okay.
I can just ask you a yes or no question.
Please allow me to
and you're-
answer your question.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Help yourself out.
What I was saying to Katie is that the information she had just told me in the car about Sigfredo not being there when the crime was committed, she told me that Sigfredo was high on drugs at the hotel and that Luis had rented a car and that he's the one who killed Dan. And I'm restating to her that I don't have any knowledge of what went on, and that all I know is that Sigfredo wasn't even there when this happened. So that's what I'm restating to her.
That Sigfredo can't be caught even if he's connected to the crime, to the car?
I know that Sigfredo wasn't the one who killed Dan.
Okay.
Prosecutor Georgia Kappelman methodically dismantled Charlie's story. Not with theatrics, not with anger, with questions. Simple, direct questions that expose the absurdities and contradictions in his testimony. She started with the word count. Charlie had mentioned the word extortion 123 times during his testimony. But in all those recorded phone calls after the FBI bump, when discussing the threat, how many times did he use the word extortion? 0. Not once. Charlie never said extortion. He spoke in code, in vague references, in carefully crafted language. Kappelman asked why. If he was truly the victim, why not say so clearly? Charlie said he'd been warned not to tell anyone, but he had told his mother, just not in clear language. Why the coded speech? Kappelman moved to the timeline. Charlie let Wendy move from Tallahassee to Miami after Dan's murder. Move closer to the very gang members he claimed to fear. If Charlie was terrified of Miami-based killers, why would he allow his sister to move right into their territory? Charlie tried to justify it when he was moving in with their parents. It was safer, but the explanation created new problems. His sister was safe living in the same city as the people who'd murdered her ex-husband. Kappelman asked about the love texts, the affectionate messages Charlie sent to Catherine Magbanua while allegedly being extorted. Messages calling her beautiful, sending kissy face emojis. Charlie explained he had to keep up appearances, make everything seem normal. But these weren't neutral messages. These were romantic, affectionate, the kind you send to someone you care about, not someone threatening your family. She brought up the Dolce Vita recording, the conversation at a Miami restaurant, secretly recorded by the FBI. Charlie spoke in hypotheticals. If two people robbed a store, they could never be caught if they weren't in the car and didn't rent the vehicle. This hypothetical perfectly described how Dan Markel's murder was carried out. Two men from Miami, rental car, no direct connection to the victim. Charlie claimed he was talking about being framed. But Kappelman suggested another interpretation. A man thinking out loud about how to avoid detection. She asked about the television. That infamous joke about hiring a hitman as a divorce gift, but buying a TV instead because it was cheaper. Was it coincidence that this television became Wendy's alibi for the murder day? That Donna brought up this same television in wiretap calls? Charlie insisted it was just a bad joke. The timing was unfortunate. Except the jury was hearing something different. A man who joked about the exact crime that occurred, whose joke became an alibi, whose family referenced it in coded language. Kappelman asked about the payments. $138,000 initially, then $3,000 monthly for years. Even after Garcia and Rivera were arrested and convicted. If these men were in prison, who was Charlie still paying? Who was he afraid of? Charlie said the extortion continued. There were others, but he'd never gone to the police. Not when the killers were arrested. Not when they were convicted. Not when Magbanua went to trial. He stayed silent for 9 years. Paid for 9 years. Kappelman asked the question that hung over everything. If Charlie's story was true, why did every single action look exactly like someone who'd paid for a murder? Charlie tried to answer. He said what he knew in 2023 was different from 2014. That he'd been confused, scared, making decisions under duress. But the explanations were wearing thin. The confident man who'd begun testimony was showing cracks. Kappelman didn't need to prove Charlie was lying. She just needed to show how implausible his story was, how many coincidences the jury would have to accept. And with each answer Charlie gave, he made her job easier. After weeks of testimony, after hundreds of exhibits, after Charlie's marathon on the stand, it came down to this: the prosecution's final word.
In jury selection, we talked about the burden of proof and how it was my burden to prove this case to you beyond a reasonable doubt through evidence. And generally speaking, the defense's job is to poke holes in the evidence and argue that it falls short of meeting that high burden. And we also learned at jury selection that the defense does not have to prove anything. But sometimes if the law enforcement investigation is so thorough and so compelling that there's really no way to poke holes in the evidence, he has to basically admit his own words, his own text messages. That stuff is undeniable, right? And those things prove that he was in cahoots with Catherine McBanois in 2013, through the murder in 2014, and all the way up until her arrest in October of 2016. He knows he can't deny that he paid the killers because of this bizarre practice he had of stapling his money. So sometimes when a defendant can't attack the facts or the law, they instead try to explain it away by saying, you can't trust what you're seeing. It's not what it appears to be. It's actually something else entirely. Often, as in this case, the individual explanation, so when you zoom in on one piece of evidence with its attached explanation, can be like, maybe. But when you zoom out and you add all these things together, this explanation, and this explanation, and this explanation, this coincidence, and this coincidence, and this coincidence, it starts making less and less sense. It starts being less and less reasonable. And when you zoom out from the defense's theory, it's really unreasonable, right? Because to find it reasonable, you have to buy a lot of things that he's selling. The most obvious of which is that because Sigfredo Garcia hated him, he and Rivera traveled to Tallahassee twice to kill someone he hated in hopes that he would give them money for it on the back end. Please think about that. To hit this defendant where it hurts, these two dudes with no connection at all to Dan Markel and without two nickels to rub together, rented a car and paid for gas to come to Tallahassee and stay in a hotel twice in order to kill someone that this defendant hated. To harm him. And for what? To maybe get money? Maybe he just turns him in for murder. Why not just kill and rob him if what you're after is money and there's no hired hit? Why not just kill and rob him if your motive is, we hate him? Then the bad guys don't even have any contact with him, according to his own story. They didn't threaten him, they did not beat him into submission. Instead, they sent his own girlfriend to extort him on their behalf. And without any actual contact from the bad guys, the defendant just opened up his safe and handed over his beloved money that he had saved his entire life since he was a child. He just handed it over. Take it all. And when that amount wasn't sufficient, these stone-cold murdering gangsters let the defendant go on a payment plan to give him the rest of the money. They let Catherine McBanois skim off the top each month. And never, over the next 2 years that he was being extorted monthly, these gangsters, remember that money doesn't go to the principal, that $3,000 a month. They never show up to demand the remaining $195,000 that this defendant has agreed to pay them. Then, you also need to find reasonable that over the 2 years of this supposed extortion layaway plan, that the defendant continued to do what? Send these kissy faces and love texts to Catherine Magbanua. He's sending these messages to a woman who got him into this mess, and he says he didn't suspect she was involved. What? What do we know about this man? He didn't suspect she was involved. She's taking the money. He's never even heard from the bad guys. He didn't see it that way, that she got him into this mess. They grew closer after she began extorting him for $3,000 a month. Meanwhile, the defendant and Catherine Magbanua break up. She continues to maintain her direct and indirect contact with Sigfredo Garcia, the man who's extorting him, the man who murdered his former brother-in-law in cold blood. But he sees her as a friend. The kissy faces and the I love yous continue. Even after Catherine Magbanua got back together with the man who executed Dan Markel, the father of his young nephews, and a guy who's actively extorting him, this defendant continued to reach out to her over and over again to offer her favors and gifts, including a birthday gift for Garcia, and to tell her he loves her and how lucky he is to have her in his life. Lucky? Next, to find a reasonable doubt here, you have to find it reasonable that the defendant never texted or talked about this first layer of extortion. Why? According to him, because Catherine Magbanua said, let's never talk about this. So they didn't. Then you have to believe he never reported or revealed this information to law enforcement out of fear of the gangsters. And finally, you have to believe that this living in fear of death by gang members over 2 years didn't cause a change in his general demeanor that his friends noticed, but later the bump from law enforcement did. He says that's because, well, I became worried that I might be falsely arrested. So I wasn't a hot mess when I was being extorted by gang members and threatened to be killed and my whole family killed. But I became a hot mess when I started to get worried that the cops might be getting closer. And I have no real way of knowing if all this stuff sounds ridiculous to you, if it sounds reasonable to you, or if y'all just heard so much stuff that you're totally confused and can't even remember what the evidence in the case showed. But they only need to get one of you confused enough to derail this whole thing, right? So I've got to go through each thing with you. Your verdict has to be unanimous. So I want to go through the testimony, I want to review the evidence, and I want to spend a little bit more time talking about this multitude of explanations the defense has offered in an effort to really turn each piece of evidence on its head. This is Dan Markel. He is the victim in this case. A brilliant lawyer, a funny guy, a son, a colleague, a brother, a mentor, and a friend. But most of all, a father. A dedicated and loving father whose downfall was brought about by the fact that his number one priority was maximizing his access to those two little boys in the wake of a bitter divorce from their mother. And despite the defense's efforts to characterize their client as the real victim here, Dan Markel remains the only victim in this case. The only thing he was guilty of is fighting like hell for those kids. And he lost. He didn't lose in court, but he lost. This is what he looked like before this defendant hired a hitman to kill him. And this is what he looked like afterwards. The evidence has shown that on July 18th, 2014, this brilliant man was gunned down in broad daylight in the driveway of his own home. His horrific death ultimately set police down two separate paths following the two most promising leads they had. The first was to chase down that Prius that Mr. Geiger saw fleeing the crime scene. And we'll examine those efforts in detail. The second path was to ask, as we would in any murder investigation, who might want to have done this? Who would want Dan Markel dead?
Georgia Kappelman's closing argument was devastating. She called Charlie's extortion story a layaway plan for murder. She pointed out that criminals don't advertise their plans with jokes. They don't pay for murders in monthly installments. She reminded the jury that Catherine Magbanua had testified, breaking years of silence. Magbanua admitted she'd lied at her own trials. She confirmed Charlie Adelson was involved, that the payments weren't extortion. They were payment for a killing. The defense tried to counter. They argued the state's theory was as convoluted as Charlie's story. They insisted Magbanua was a professional liar who manipulated Charlie. But the damage was done. Charlie's own words had built a prison around him. November 6th, 2023. After hours of deliberation, the jury returned. Every person in that courtroom knew what was coming. But knowing and hearing are two different things. This is the moment reality arrived.
The verdict form is in its proper order. Madam Clerk, please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 2nd Judicial Circuit in and for Leon County, Florida, the State of Florida versus Charles Adelson, case number 2016 CF 3036B, verdict. Count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Count 2. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count 3. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3 of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. So say we all this 6th day of November, 2023.
Guilty. First-degree murder. Guilty. Conspiracy to commit murder. Guilty. Solicitation to commit murder. Charlie Adelson's face said everything. The confidence was gone. The explanations had run out. The illusion of control had shattered. For the first time in years, there was nothing left to say. 6 weeks after the verdict, Charlie returned to court for the final chapter of his freedom.
Counts be run concurrently.
Very well. Mr. Adelson, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make a statement if you wish. You do not have to speak. However, this is your opportunity if you choose to do so.
I do.
Very well. Please rise. I'm now going to pronounce the sentence. As to count 2, you are going to be sentenced consecutively to 30 years in the Department of Corrections for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. As to count 3, you are going to be sentenced to 30 years in the Department of Corrections consecutively for solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The credit for time served that applies in this matter is how much?
597.
597 days will be applied as credit for time served in this case. If the clerk could please read all fees and costs that would apply as well.
$2,100 as a fine pursuant to Florida Statute 775.083, $105 as a 5% surcharge required by Florida Statute 938.04, $20 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.06, Crime Stopper Trust Fund, $3 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.01, subsection 1, Criminal Justice Trust Fund, $50 pursuant to Florida Statute 938.03, Crimes Compensation Trust Fund, $225 pursuant to Florida Statute 938.05, Local Government Criminal Justice Trust Fund, $2 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 938.15, County Criminal Justice Education, County Code 7-26, $50 as a court cost pursuant to Florida Statute 775.083, subsection 2, County Crime Prevention,
$3 was the court cost pursuant to Florida statute 938.19, King Florida Assessment, New York County, Florida Code 7-28. $65 was the court cost pursuant to Florida statute 939.185, County additional court cost, County Code 7-24, with a total of $2,623.
Mr. Rauschbaum, is there any lawful objection for you to raise to the assessment as announced by the clerk?
No, Your Honor.
Those amounts will be assessed at this time. Ms. Kappelman, I will reserve 90 days of jurisdiction to address the cost of prosecution in this case. By statute, the state is entitled to the 100, but this is in excess of the 100 is what you're referring to.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. 30 days to appeal both your conviction and now your sentence. Mr. Adelson, you are going to be fingerprinted today, and from here you are going to be sent to the Department of Corrections to begin serving your sentence. Mr. Rauschbaum, if you please can timely file the notice of appeal so that way there is no issues regarding any review of the conviction itself. Does either party have anything further to raise to the court before we finish for today?
Nothing from the state.
No, Your Honor.
We are in recess. Mr. and Mrs. Markel, have a good day. Thank you for being available so you can provide your victim impact statements. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Cheyenne, you can take this. This is the pre-sentence investigation information. Two count one.
December 12th, 2023. Life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. Plus 30 years consecutive for conspiracy. Plus 30 years consecutive for solicitation. Charlie Adelson would never be a free man again. But the story wasn't over. 1 week after Charlie's conviction, Donna Adelson and her husband Harvey were arrested at Miami International Airport. They had one-way tickets to Vietnam, a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. Hours after the verdict, Charlie and his mother spoke on a recorded jail line. No privacy, no protection, just raw family grief and something else. Listen for what isn't said as much as what is.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Charlie.
an incarcerated individual at the Leon County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to this recorded call, press 1.
Thank you for using Securus. You may start the
Charlie.
conversation now.
Charlie. Hey. Hey there, how are you?
How are you?
Okay. I'm all right.
Where are you? Are you still in that cell?
Yeah, I'm still in here. They got so the chief's gonna see me at some point today, and whenever he comes through, and then supposedly Dan's gonna come to the jail. And I asked them, they said when your attorneys get here, they'll take you out to see them. I'm sure I'll see them behind glass.
So I thought Dan. I didn't know that Dan went. I didn't know if he went home or not yesterday.
No, he's driving. He's driving home today.
Okay. So they will let you see him today.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be behind glass. I'm going to be picking up a phone, talking to him through a sheet of glass.
So, did you get sleep last night?
On and off. I mean, they got the lights on. It's bright in here. It's like I just wanted to call and say hi. I don't even know why.
No,
that's okay.
I'm glad you did it. I was actually just talking to Dan, so it's not like we were sleeping.
Yeah.
But
You were talking to Dad or Dan?
Dan.
It's cold.
Yeah, but gonna have to talk when we have a moment about things that we need to take care of. Okay?
Yeah, I know the money and stuff like that. No, I got you.
Roman.
What?
And I have things I need to take care of for Roman and ways that we can take care of him and help him. So there's that, which is the most important. And then and figuring out about the dog. So gotta take care of things, Charlie. We gotta take care of things.
It's like I'm dead. I mean, I hate to tell you that it ain't a whole lot different. Oh, fuck.
No, please, I know.
Oh, fuck. I listen to everybody.
Donna was charged with the same crimes as her son. First-degree murder, conspiracy, solicitation. Her trial was delayed multiple times. But in August 2025, 11 years after Dan Markel's murder, Donna Adelson finally faced a jury. The evidence was overwhelming. Wiretap calls, financial records, the airport arrest, her panicked reactions after the FBI bump. On September 4th, 2025, Donna Adelson was convicted on all counts. In October, she was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Mother and son, both serving life sentences, both convicted of orchestrating the same murder. Throughout this case, one theme emerges. Words reveal more than silence. The Adelsons spoke in echoes. Donna and Charlie used similar phrases, shared assumptions. When you listen to their recorded conversations, you hear a family that reinforces each other's thinking. They never explicitly say murder, but they reference patience, dental work, a television that serves as both joke and alibi. They speak in code, but the code is transparent. Desperate, Charlie's biggest mistake wasn't the crime. It was believing he could talk his way out. He thought if he explained enough, he could control the narrative. Instead, every explanation became evidence. Every justification revealed guilt. Every word was another nail. His confidence wasn't innocence. It was armor, and that armor turned into a cage. Sometimes the most damning moments are the quietest. The pauses, the word choices, the tone shifts. This footage captured all of it.
Did you have any input on the decision to change the boys' names from Markel to Adelson?
Absolutely not.
Do you and Donna have to protect Wendy?
No.
Does Wendy appreciate everything you and Donna do for her?
You got to ask her. I mean, she's my sister. I love her. I try to give her my best advice I can. And if I care about her, and I give her my advice, whether she takes it or not, is up to her. She's a grown woman.
Let me ask it another way. Do you feel, or isn't it true that you don't feel that Wendy appreciates everything you and Donna do for her?
My sister had no idea what I've been through in the last, God knows how many years, and what I wake up worrying, am I going to get killed? Am I going to get arrested? And she knows none of it. She's just going around her life, and I had somewhat of an innate anger towards her. Mm-hmm. You know, probably unjust because she didn't know what happened. But yeah, I was upset.
And weren't you saying on the wire that she doesn't appreciate what you and Donna have done for her?
I don't know if I said that she doesn't appreciate what I've done for her, because I never did anything for her.
Okay, so that was my next question. What have you done for her? Nothing?
Other than give her advice and care about her, be a big brother that loves her.
Would you say Wendy's a little bit spoiled?
In some regards, I mean, she gets a lot of help for sure.
Is she a little less savvy about how the world works than you are?
I don't know. I mean, you got to ask her.
Could you trust Wendy with a secret that could ruin your life?
It's not a secret. It's something that would get me killed. So I didn't want to tell her.
Can we agree that she obviously knew something about this crime?
She found out when she came to court. I never told her anything.
I'm talking about the murder of Dan Markel. She knew something, right? I mean, it's not a coincidence she went to the crime scene, is it?
You're talking about the route that she took that day?
I'm talking about her pulling up to the crime scene tape.
She never went to the crime scene. She was going to buy a bottle of liquor that, coincidentally, the person sent her a stock the bar party for buy a bottle of Bullet bourbon that she was going to pick up. She wasn't driving to a crime scene. And I think she made that clear, too. Nobody knew a murder was taking place.
She pulled up to the crime scene tape, Dr. Adelson.
She didn't pull up to the crime scene tape. She was driving down the street and then had to make a U-turn. It was blocked off. But she wasn't going to.
She couldn't help herself.
Nobody knew a murder was going to take place.
She exposed you all to some degree by those actions, didn't she?
No, not at all.
And then she threw you under the bus in her interview, didn't she?
Nobody knew a murder was going to take place.
She knew her husband had just been shot, and they were asking her who would want him dead, and she said your name. Are you mad about that?
No, she said a lot of people's names.
Well, she said yours in the first 25 pages of a 5-hour interview. Isn't that true?
I wasn't there for the interview.
But you've reviewed it in preparation for your trial, haven't you?
I actually don't know if I've seen her interview.
There was a lot of questions of you about, didn't you do this murder with Wendy? Doesn't the state think you did this murder with Wendy? Are you familiar with your charges in this case?
Yes, I'm very familiar with my charges.
Right. And who are you alleged to have done this murder with?
I'm alleged to have done this murder with my sister, my mom, and my dad.
Would it refresh your recollection to review a copy of the indictment in this case?
I'm a slow reader, but I could read it if you want.
May I approach your honor?
Okay.
This is the official charging document in your case, Dr. Adelson. What does it say in reference to who you are alleged to have committed the murder with?
This is, what day is this? 2022. Oh, they think I did a murder with Katie.
Catherine McBanois.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Give me a minute, I'll read. They got Luis Rivera in here. They got Sigfredo Garcia.
As being alleged to have committed the murder with you?
Did I read it too quick?
Take your time. Should just be at the very top of each charge. On or about July 18th, 2014, did unlawfully.
Okay. Yeah, Katie. Catherine.
Okay. Are you mad that Wendy hasn't been charged and you have?
No, I'm mad that I got charged for a crime that I didn't commit.
Do you have any innate anger with Wendy over that fact?
No, not at all.
Are you pissed that she told all that stuff to Jeff Lacoste?
I don't think she said that to Jeff, but I wasn't there.
How did Lacoste know about the celebration dinner?
That we went out to dinner. She got sick, so she may have told someone that she threw up.
And then what? He just added the part about you referring to it as a celebration?
I never referred to it as a celebration dinner. I picked my sister up. I said, where do you want to go to eat? She said she wanted pizza or sushi. I said, I know a great sushi place. We went there. We didn't have reservations. We ended up sitting at the bar for an hour waiting for our table, and she had 2 drinks and got sick.
She vomited on the dinner table, or at the dinner table.
Yeah, she got her to the bathroom, but yeah, she doesn't drink alcohol. So those 2 drinks, and I think on an empty stomach, I think she got really sick. But there was no celebration dinner. It was the first time that she actually really left the house since she got back from Tallahassee. She was devastated.
Did you say something to her about the murder of Dan Markel right before she vomited?
Absolutely not.
Do you remember what you said right before she vomited?
She was I think she said, "I don't feel well." And I say, "Oh no," and then she threw up.
Before that?
No, I think I said, "Oh no," and then she threw up.
Before she announced that she was going to be ill.
Right.
Do you remember what the conversation was?
Just how's the food? How's your? I mean, we were probably about halfway through dinner. If you look at the timetable, we weren't there long.
Why did you brag to Jeffrey Lacoste about your connection to the Cuban criminal element?
Never said that to Jeff Lacoste.
So he's making that up?
If he said it, I never said it.
Well, you were in here when he said it, weren't you?
I heard him say it, yeah. But I never said that to him.
On one of these calls, and it's in the context of talking about Dave and Wendy's relationship with Dave, you tell your mom that you've already gone above and beyond for Wendy. Was that a reference to having her ex murdered?
No, that's me getting tired of this Dave stuff. I mean, Dave's a great guy. I mean, everyone who meets him likes him. He's not only super successful, but he's very low-key, like T-shirts and jeans kind of guy. And he loved my sister's kids. I mean, if you listen to The Wire, the point I was making is not how successful he is. The point I was making is that my nephews farted on him, and he thought it was funny and didn't bother him. And he also has 3 young kids, the same ages as my sister's 2 young kids. They actually met in line when my sister was registering the kids for school, and they've been friends for years. So I thought it was a great opportunity for my sister to have a great guy in her life. And I was getting sick and tired of Dave calls, and The Wire started in April. My sister's birthday's in April, Dave's birthday's in April, so you got a ton of Dave chatter on this case. But believe me, I'd go crazy if I was talking about Dave like this all year long.
So that's a no, you did not reference having her ex murdered?
Absolutely not.
When you said
no.
You've already gone above and beyond?
No, that was me getting sick of dealing with the Dave stuff. As great as the guy as he is, I was still getting sick of it.
When the $1 million offer was conceived, do you recall whose idea that was?
My parents.
Why was the relocation worth $1 million?
Well, it was actually I was going to pay a third, so I only looked at it as that way. Why was it worth it?
Mm-hmm. That's the question.
Because it was going to help my sister out, and it was going to give her a good opportunity for a good job down here, and she was going to be around family, and family's important, so that's why.
Isn't it true that financially you came out ahead on this deal as opposed to if you had coughed up the third of the $1 million offer?
How in the world did I come up ahead? This is the craziest
Financially,
thing.
you paid $138,000, then you paid $2,000 a month plus the $1,000 payroll amount. You're still about over $100,000 ahead financially than if you had coughed up the $333K.
No, I would have been better off paying. And first of all, I never paid for murders. This is a crazy question, but paying $3,000 a month for life is not anything anybody wants to do.
I didn't say anything about paying for a murder. I said you paid $138,000, which you did.
I got extorted for $330,000.
5 people convicted in Dan Markel's murder: Luis Rivera, Sigfrido Garcia, Catherine Magbanua, Charlie Adelson, Donna Adelson, but one name remains absent: Wendy Adelson. Prosecutors named her as an unindicted co-conspirator. She testified at multiple trials under limited immunity. She denied involvement. She was never charged. After Dan's death, she moved to Miami within days. Changed her children's last names from Markel to Adelson. Changed one son's middle name. The Markel family still waits for closure, for the investigation prosecutors say continues. This case is about family loyalty twisted into something dark. Wealth used as a weapon. A brilliant professor's life cut short over custody. But above all, it's about believing you're the smartest person in the room. Charlie Adelson thought he could control every variable, pay the right people, say the right things, explain away every suspicion. He forgot one detail. In the age of wiretaps and recordings, there is no such thing as a private conversation. Every joke became evidence. Every payment left a record. Every phone call was monitored. The story he rehearsed for years collapsed under its own weight. Because it wasn't true. And truth emerges, no matter how carefully you craft the lie. Charlie Adelson is currently incarcerated in South Dakota after a security transfer in 2024. He has filed appeals arguing his conviction should be overturned, claiming pretrial publicity made a fair trial impossible, claiming his attorney had a conflict of interest. Donna Adelson has also filed an appeal from her prison in South Florida. Both face the reality that appeals in cases with this much evidence rarely succeed. Catherine Magbanua remains at Lowell Annex. Sigfredo Garcia is serving life. Luis Rivera is completing his sentence. And the Markel family? They continue to honor Dan's memory. They've written books, given interviews, kept his legacy alive as a brilliant legal scholar, a devoted father. They've waited 11 years for justice. Through arrests, trials, mistrials, convictions, appeals. 5 convictions, all serving life sentences. But the pain doesn't end with verdicts. Dan Markel's 2 sons grew up without their father. Because of a custody dispute. Because a family couldn't accept a judge's ruling. Charlie Adelson's greatest weapon became his greatest vulnerability. His voice. He thought he could explain everything. Instead, he explained himself into a life sentence. The confidence that made him believe he was untouchable became the trap. The words he thought would free him became the chains. There's a moment in every recording, every testimony, where you can hear it. When the story stops working. When reality intrudes. For Charlie Adelson, that moment happened in a Tallahassee courtroom. When a jury saw not a victim of extortion, but the architect of murder. Justice didn't come quickly. It took 11 years. Hundreds of investigators. Thousands of recorded calls. 5 trials. But it came because of words. The words Charlie thought would save him. The words that condemned him. This is Dark Trail Files, where we follow evidence. Where truth emerges from voices people use when they think no one is listening. Charlie Adelson believed he could talk his way out of murder. Instead, he talked himself into a life sentence. Sometimes the smartest move is silence. Charlie Adelson never learned that. And now he has a lifetime to think about it.